Hey everyone, welcome to the Diabetes Unlocked podcast. I'm Tom.
And I'm Christelle, and between us, we have over 60 years of experience living with type 1 diabetes.
And in this episode, we're going to open up about some of our bad habits that Crystal is saying we want to leave in 2025 and not take with us to 2026. So let's see if we can manage to do that and if we can actually record this episode, because we just tried a few minutes ago, but the recording failed. So let's hope it happens this time. And Crystal, it was kind of your idea for this episode, so I'll let you introduce it a bit more and then we can jump right into it.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you for doing this, Tom. Our little session here. No, I mean, one of the things that I was thinking of is you and I would say we do pretty well when it comes to our diabetes. We're pretty informed of sort of what's going on. It's because the work that we do and all the videos that we put out. And at least I feel like I have pretty good diabetes management, and I think you do too. But that doesn't mean that I haven't adopted some bad habits that's impacted me negatively, and I definitely want to leave those in 25. And I also want to talk about some of the things that we do well, because I hate conversations where everything is just negative. So I want to talk about some of those things that we want to leave in 25, and then some of the things that we want to take with us into 26. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because I can't wait to learn from you, and I think the viewers will as well.
Yeah, let's do that. I think it will be a bit of a therapy session as well, because I put some things that are more personal and not necessarily all diabetes related on the list, but I think it's all connected because we live with diabetes and it's just part of our life. So I think it makes sense to talk about everything together. So do you want to jump into the first one that you want to talk about?
Absolutely. I was thinking about, okay, what things are working for me, what things are not working for me as of right now. And I started out focusing on like very direct blood sugar impacting things, and then I went a little broader. So let's see if that fits with your framework. But I think one of the things that I really need to leave in 25, which I have done successfully before, because this is one of the things that keep creeping into my routine. And that is that I've started again to treat my low blood sugars with what I call high-calorie foods. So instead of just choosing like glucose tabs, something really just straight up sugar, Skittles, something like that, or juice, I've started tonight almost compose a whole meal. Let it go low, or reach for chocolate or something fatty that's not helping me in the sense that if I want to raise my blood sugar super fast, I should just reach for fast-acting carbohydrates, no fibers, no fats, no nothing, just pure carbohydrates. But I think I've started to sort of treat it almost like a treat. And for me, that just means that I kind of end up on a little bit of a roller coaster. I'll treat the low, and then I will have to treat the high again later down the line. So that's one of those for me where I'm like, this is not serving me well. I need to stop doing this, and especially need to stop doing it at night.
Well, first of all, I completely get what you're saying. I think you're not the only one who, when we go low, we just kind of want to eat. I think what you kind of feel, that at least me, when I go low, when my blood sugar is really low, one of those lows that hit me more, I just kind of want to eat everything. It's like a animal instinct. Okay, need to eat. I'm low, like I need this energy, and yeah, and it's interesting because those things, like let's say you treat a low with an ice cream that is like also a lot of fat in it, it will not help you recover that fast. But at the same time, it kind of feels like, okay, this is like something that necessarily need to help me because it's full of sugar, full of these good things that will kind of get me out of that low. So yeah, I think glucose tablets is like the most effective way to treat low, but it's not always the most tasty or enjoyable way. And at the same time, like unless you're prepared, when you open your fridge, there's no glucose tablets. They're usually somewhere else. Like I usually have them in my pocket or in a backpack or somewhere. It's like not always the first thing you see when you open the fridge. When you wake up in the middle of the night and you just need to treat the low, you go open the fridge. It's not there. I do that too sometimes, but it's not the biggest. It's not the biggest bad habit I have. I think
I have a really good habit established for nighttime. So once I'm in bed, I have all my, and I just did a video about that not that long ago. I have all my low treatment in my nightstand. I don't go in the kitchen because I think actually you just pinpointed the issue. So I'm going to take this into my consideration on how to fix this bad habit, because At night, again, I don't go into the kitchen. I have everything in my nightstand. I have glucose tabs, I have juice, I have Skittles. I have the works in my nightstand. It's especially in the afternoons, evenings, where I kind of want a snack anyway. And then if I go low, I go in the kitchen. So probably what I need to do is I need to not go in the kitchen. And I have what I call my pancreas. Let me just show you my pancreas. I have my pancreas, which is just a little bag with all my gear. And I actually have glucose in here. So I think instead of going in the kitchen, I just have to switch the habit and grab from my pancreas and not go in the kitchen. Thank you, Tom. That was brilliant.
You're welcome. By the way, I'm kind of going low right now because I'm 80 and I feel like I actually can feel it. I feel like it will be going down. So I actually just popped one glucose tablet. I don't know if you saw it, just to prevent it. But as we talk about it, I'm thinking about, okay, it's actually very closely related to a bad habit of mine, which I wanted to talk about. And that's, I feel like I have very tight control right now. And I've had very tight control for the past few years or maybe couple of years. So what that means is my time in range has been above 90% for all this time. And I'm right now around like 95%, which is like really good. I know it's really good. And my HbA1c is actually like 5.7 or 5.6, which is like really, really good. I'm really happy with that. And I have all kinds of technology to help me with that. If yours is not so good or anyone who's listening, it's not that I want to brag about it, but it's more, I actually feel I spend a lot of time working towards this to have, such good, let's say, results or values. On the other hand, I'm really noticing I'm correcting highs. Like sometimes I don't want to go high. I don't want to go above 160 or 180. I definitely don't want to go out of range. So I'm often just taking a bit more insulin, like doing all these little interventions, even with automated system, or doing all these little interventions to not go high, especially after certain meals. And sometimes it's just too much. I just give myself too much insulin and then I end up going low, which creates like all kinds of issues for me because then I need to treat the low and I'm like eating more calories than I really want. And it's interesting because when you look at my time in range, okay, maybe 95% or 94%, but then you will see above range, I will have like 0 or 1%. And then all the out of range is actually below range. So I'm below 70 milligrams per deciliter, like below 4 millimoles per liter, a bit more than I would probably want to be. So my problem is like, I'm really maybe too focused on not going high. And I'm actually thinking, okay, maybe this is one of my bad habits. Like I'm taking too much insulin preventively not to go high, which is creating like more low blood sugar situations that I then need to treat. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like I'm really like almost like too obsessed by the numbers, too obsessed by not going above the range. And maybe that's probably not super healthy.
I hear you on that one. I have a similar one on my list. I mean, my time in range is not as high as yours. I think you can get there on MDI, multiple daily injections, but I think it's harder. So to your point about it also depends on the tools. And of course, as we always say, it's very individualized. So if you're sitting out there and you have a time in range of 60 and your doctor, and you used to have it one of 40, I mean, great progress, right? So I think that's, to your point, a little different. So for me, it's adjacent to what you're saying. I hate running high overnight. I think we talked about this before, and I always get this reaction. Like, I hate waking up in the morning, looking at my CGM, seeing that I've been like over 140 at night. That bothers the heck out of me. So I'm not afraid of lows. It doesn't sound like you're afraid of lows either. But it sounds like you and I might be reacting the same way, because that means I will aggressively take insulin before bed. I'm not afraid of lows because my CGM will wake me up. I have glucose, as I said, right in my nightstand. So that doesn't worry me. I'd rather go low overnight than go high overnight, which is also a bad habit. But obviously, you should try and find some sort of balance. And I'm not quite sure how to leave that one in the past, to be honest, because I still don't want to run high at night. Maybe that's more back. Actually, I probably think talking it through with you, it's back to my other bad habit about overtreating lows at night. I think for me, if I can sort of get in range, let's say like that, a few hours before bed, which I've done for a long time. I'm just not doing it right now. But if I can get back to that, it also becomes easier to keep it overnight and not ending up overcorrecting. And then maybe, I guess maybe, I don't know if I can, but accepting a few high nights.
Yeah, and I mean, just to clarify, if someone is listening to this, we use different tools. So I have automated insulin delivery system. So I have a CGM and I have an insulin pump and I have an algorithm. So the CGM is telling the pump all the time what my blood sugar is, and then the algorithm tells the pump how to dose insulin to keep me in range. And you don't have that because you have a CGM, but you don't have a pump and you don't have an algorithm. You dose manually. But I think, especially overnight, I have it so much easier because when I sleep, I don't have to be maybe that aggressive because I know that the algorithm will fix that overnight high for me. Sort of, I have still quite aggressive setting to keep me at like lower end of the range overnight. But still, even if I dose too little insulin for my dinner or for anything I eat in the evening, and the algorithm will sort of like fix it. But that's where obviously, if you had some sort of automation that can do things for you when you sleep, this could potentially make this go away for you. There's obviously a reason why you're not on a pump, but I'm just thinking, okay, when you're talking about this, I'm thinking I don't have this problem because of the automated insulin delivery system, because it solves the problem for me. Going back to what I talked about, I'm just being too much involved, clearly, because this algorithm can do so much good for me, and I'm sometimes trying to be even more aggressive with my insulin dose than the algorithm gives me, which is most of the time not needed, because it would just take an hour or 2 hours for me to get back to range. And maybe I would be 2% above range, of that. Maybe I would be not 94% in range, but 92, but I would still be happy with that. I would avoid half of the lows. So it's kind of like reflecting on what you said going back into mine. But yeah, also shows that it's sometimes dependent on the tools that you have. Or sometimes you cannot reset and control in certain parts of the day, like when you sleep with MDI. But I think you have advantage, or you can achieve better control during other parts of the day.
Well, it's kind of funny because I prefer multiple daily injection MDI, but I would actually love to be on some sort of nighttime device. And fingers crossed, I actually don't know the exact launch date, but this is kind of one of the positive things that I would love to try in 26 is there's something called Luna, which is a nighttime patch for people on MDI that's just meant to tackle high blood sugars at night. If that comes out in 26, then that's a habit I adopt in 26, because it's a small device. You just slap it on, and it lasts 12 hours, and it can give you a little bit more extra insulin if you need it. So that would mean basically it's doing basal insulin overnight, right? And I would be very excited to try that. So I think for 26, again, that would be one of the things. There's also some other devices coming out that I really want to try. So I've gone through 25 using the same tools. I've been using the Dexcom CGM. I've been using my InPen, which is a smart insulin pen. And I'm ready to try some new stuff. So yeah, I'm excited for what's coming in 26. We had a whole episode also where we talked about new options for 26 when it comes to CGMs and stuff like that. So I'm excited to try new stuff. That's kind of a resolution for 26. Try more stuff.
Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll even try an insulin pump. Who knows? If my insurance decided to cover it, that would be nice. But
Yeah, I think that would be great because there would be so much to talk about. I feel like sometimes I'm just talking that much about pumps and this automated insulin delivery options, and you don't have that real life experience of the latest tech, and I feel like we'd be nerding out so much if you ever try that. But you don't have to. You have to make your own decision.
just for clarification, I have tried an insulin pump. I just haven't tried one of the newer ones. So I do want to add that in there. Yeah.
Okay.
But say another thing I want to skip and leave in 25. And this is US specific. Okay. So I know you can't really talk to this necessarily, but what I've learned in 25 is that, so I have insurance. I buy private insurance for myself. I've learned, health insurance. I've learned that it doesn't always make sense to actually use my health insurance to pay for things, which makes no sense, but that's the way it is. So for example, needles. So needles for my insulin pens. I can go to the pharmacy, I can use my insurance, I get 2 boxes of needles for $30 copay. I found that I can go online and I can purchase 3 boxes for less than $30. I get it sent directly to my home, not using my insurance without a prescription. So I think that's a big learning for me. I need to sort of look around and look at the options and see, okay, well, does it even make sense to use my insurance? It's not, and it's actually not just for diabetes. So I'm a female, go get a mammogram. Everybody should go get a mammogram yearly. And those are usually covered by insurance. I also need an ultrasound. It's less than half price if I pay cash versus if I use my insurance. So I think if anyone out there also want to save a buck or a lot of bucks, look into that. I'm not making that mistake in 26.
That is so weird that in the US you can have the same thing done with insurance and without insurance, and it doesn't cost the same. That is so weird to me because I think in my where I live, the price is the same, like regardless what insurance plan you have, or if you even wanted to pay cash for whatever reason, the price would be the same. Like especially when you go for a procedure at a doctor or in a hospital. Okay, when you order something online and versus you get it from like a distributor, that might be different, like the needles. But I can't imagine how that could be different price. That's just sounds so weird to me. But I completely agree with insurance because and just few years ago, I realized that we as a family pay so many different insurance plans for like the house insurance, the car insurance, and all kinds of like health insurance extras. And when I thought about it, I realized, okay, more than half of these things actually doesn't really make that much sense because we're just paying for something that will probably never happen. Or like the risk, even if it does happen, is so low. And just last week, I made a little scratch with my car. I was parking, and the spot was just too small. I scratched another car that was parked there. The damage is like $200 for the person to fix the damage that I did. If I go through my insurance, I have to pay $500 deductible, and if I pay him directly, it's only $200. So clearly, I'm not gonna go to the insurance because they would decrease my score, and next year they would charge me more for the insurance. So I just pay this person directly, which again kind of confirms what you said about the needles. Sometimes there are better ways to do things than insurance. But are you like changing your coverage for health insurance specifically next year, or just like picking certain things here and there that you will just not use the insurance for?
Yeah. So I don't know if you heard, but most of us who buy insurance ourselves, we've been hit with really, really big premium increases. So mine goes up 25% next year, and my deductible goes up to $2,000. So overall, having health insurance just has become way more expensive in the United States. I got very upset when I saw that. I'm like, very upset because it's a lot of money. So I went online and I was like, what are people doing in the diabetes community? And should I scratch the health insurance and just get a catastrophic plan? For example, a catastrophic plan would be something that would have a super high deductible and only be used if I end up in the hospital. And basically, my household is my husband and I. We both have medical needs, and let me say it like that, where we need to see doctors for certain reasons, being diabetes. And one of his doctors was like, well, I don't take cash, I only take insurance. So I was like, okay, well, there you go. We have to stick with an insurance plan then. But some people are going for the cash pay and then a catastrophic plan. I would say that's risky. That's really risky because you might have a catastrophic plan where you have a deductible of $20,000 or whatever. I don't think it's $20, maybe $10,000, a lot of money. I should not pull numbers out that I can actually verify, but it's a complex system over here, for sure.
And the more complex it is, the more difficult it is to navigate, and the more disadvantaged we are as like one person in this whole scheme of things, and like the big companies. And yeah, let's not get into that. But it's really good one to think about, because I also revisited my health insurance plan since I started like new treatments, and now I'm just paying a higher premium, but at the end of the day, I'm paying less for the year just because I get more things covered. So I guess for everyone, this might be a bit different. But yeah, okay. So
My plan did not get better. It just got more expensive.
yeah, I mean, same for me, but not 25%. That's a lot. 25% for the same plan.
I've seen people say 39 or more. It's
Crazy.
crazy. Yeah, but I think what's a good thing is, so if you're sitting out there, you're wondering, so open enrollment ends December 15th. I'm not sure this episode will come out before. If it does, know that you can go to the health insurance agents. You don't pay. Those are free. They can help you navigate buying insurance to the marketplace.
Yeah, that's in the US, right?
It's in the US only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Do you want
So-
to take it from here?
So the next bad habit, let's see what I have. This is like a classic. I feel like I've had this bad habit since I started using an insulin pump, and that's like not changing the sides timely. Because sometimes when you're on a pump, I'm sure like anyone who's on the pump who is listening to it will know the situation when something is wrong, like the insulin is not just doing the work, like you're dosing insulin, but the blood sugar still is high. And, that's the time when you should change the cannula, or like this is something somewhere is leaking or something is not right. And I tend to delay this, so I caught myself a few times. I just set like a more aggressive profile on my pump instead of changing the pod, because I'm like lazy to do it, and I just do it in the evening, and like the whole day my blood sugar is 140 for like no obvious reason, instead of like 100 or 120, which is my target. But yeah, like the pump is giving me double the insulin, and I'm still higher. And yeah, there's the time to change the cannula, but I like often delay this. And I feel like I'm doing the same with CGMs. Like I know I need my sensor to pre-soak, so like 12 hours before the sensor ends, I should put on the new one. Oftentimes I don't do it, and then I regret later on. So just, yeah. I mean, but this is something that you really have to be disciplined to do that. So I'll try that next year, but let's see if I can do that.
It's interesting. I mean, I think I have a similar one, which is my Dexcom T7 has been giving me a lot of grief lately, in the sense that it's after 7 days, it starts to give me brief sensor issues, which basically means that it's not giving me any readings for sometimes an hour. And I am giving it too much of a chance to like get back in range. And I've had 2, and that's funny. It's also one of those that I crowdsourced. I like posted on Instagram. I was like, should I change it? People are like, yes, Crystal, take it off. It's not helping you. And I feel like having the community kind of push me a little bit there has been really helpful. And the thing is, I requested replacements for both of them, and Dexcom's just been like, sure, yeah, it's not working, so we'll send you a new one. So there's no loss in it for me. I keep giving it more chances, going like, oh, hopefully it's going to pick up. And I kind of know it's not. So I'd say change that more often, for sure. Not change that.
But it's just one of those things you have to like stop what you're doing and do the side change. Like no matter if it's a CGM or pump side, it just takes a few minutes. But it's just that if you didn't have diabetes, you wouldn't have to do it. And like you're just living your life, and then this is like one extra thing you need to do. And it's one of those things that are a bit annoying. So I completely get it. With the CGM that I feel exactly the same. Like I don't feel like doing it right now, deal with it. I'm doing something else. That's gonna have to wait.
There's certain things though that people being us and everyone else, I think, are really bad at. It seems like it's a collective thing that people with diabetes, we don't really like to change our lancets. So lancets are the one we poke our fingers with to do like old school finger sticks. People don't like to change their needles. I guess infusion sets as well. It's one of those things. So you're supposed to change your needle on your insulin pen every time. You're supposed to take a new syringe every time. Most people don't. If you're out there, you're like, of course, I do that. Awesome. That's what you're supposed to do. I don't do it every time. I change my long-acting needle every time because it's only 1 or 2 injections. So I just put a new one every time. But for my rapid-acting, the one I use throughout the day, I tend to reuse. Don't do as I do, which is like being completely honest here. And you shouldn't. I don't know what that's so hard. Maybe that's a thing going into 26. I need to change my rapid-acting insulin needle every time.
Yeah. I have a question. We both agree we're not doing some of these side change type of things as often as it would be beneficial maybe for us. But how often do you look at your CGM?
Quite often. And the reason why I know, so I don't know the exact, but quite often, the reason why I know that is that I get my readings here on my Fitbit. And I noticed when I was wearing a Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, because I was trying that out, that I cannot get on my Fitbit because I have an Apple system and that doesn't work. It's only an Android thing. And I kept looking at my watch and be like, I can't see my readings, which just indicates that I'm used to just glancing down, make a quick assessment, should I do something or not? So I guess several times an hour.
Yeah, me too. I just look at it, I feel like way too often because it's so easy to do. Like you just look at it and then you continue whatever you're doing, or like you do a little correction if needed or whatever. That's the reason I look at it. If I need to change something with my settings or to eat something, like that's the only thing what I would do. Like there's nothing else I would do. But still I look at it, I feel like too often. I don't do these side change type of things. Like I'm lazy to do that, but I'm never lazy to look at my CGM. And I feel like I should be looking at it less actually, because looking at it too often just leads to that my initial problem I was talking about. Sometimes I just tend to take extra insulin or change setting on my pump to be more aggressive with insulin, and that's more often than not the right thing to do. I almost feel like so if I was looking at it less, just like I changed the infusion side less, that would be a good thing. That would actually not be a bad habit. It would be a good habit. But it's hard to reframe the mindset like this for this kind of thing.
I think for me, it would be, so what I do is I do look. So right now I'm 127, dropping a little bit. That's good. I'm happy with that. We're sitting here having a conversation. I'm not going to do anything about that. Had it been, let's say 140, 150, for me, that's when I'm definitely going to do something. My next step would not just be to take more insulin. My next step is, so again, I use an InPen, which is a smart insulin pen, that Bluetooth all my doses to an app on my phone. That means my next step would be open up the app and see how much active insulin do I have. When did I take my last dose? So if you don't have an app like that, you might have to write it down. But if I just taken insulin, if I take the insulin within the last hour, for example, I would have been like, oh, okay, well, it just needs time to work. So I think for me, there are more steps to it that make looking at my blood sugar readings make sense.
Yeah, I do all these steps too. I go into the app and I look, okay, how much insulin on board I have. I even have the advantage. I can look what was my last meal that I took and, how many carbs I logged for that meal and what was the, time of that meal is being sort of impacting my blood sugar that I logged. And is that actually happening this way or not? And you can never estimate this 100%. And sometimes when I see the meal seems to be like more carbs or like acting a little bit faster than I thought, then I just I changed the initial thing that I put in that I logged before I started eating. But sometimes when I go back and change it, it's actually not the right thing. It was actually correct. It's just that the blood sugar played out slightly differently from what I was expecting it, but the dose was actually right. And so it's not like when I see blood sugar going up, I right away go in with more insulin. I also look at all these things, but probably too much. I look at it too much, I think.
So in any way, have a mental toll on you?
I think it comes back to I don't want to go out of range, like on the high side. I think that's the main thing, because it's just like if we want to go a bit deeper on this, I just feel, okay, I've had diabetes since I was 3 years old, and the first at least 20 years, my blood sugar was really high most of the times, especially as a teenager, and my blood sugar was all the time a lot higher than it is now. And so I think in that mindset of like, I don't want to have too many complications like early in my life. I'm just trying to have super tight control. And sometimes I guess it's overdoing it on the other side now than I was before. But yeah, that's what it is.
So I guess it's one of those things that's both a good habit you want to take into 26 because you want the tight control, but also you need to figure out how to balance that out with living your life and doing other things.
Yeah, definitely.
I kind of want to talk about some of the things that really works as well, because I think I think your results and where you're getting to, you said 95 or what did you say, 90, 99, what insanely high time in range is also a testament to you doing a lot of things correctly. Some of the things that are working for you, right? And I think for me, one of the things that's worked really brilliantly that I started this summer, and I kind of mentioned it in one episode, you almost fell off your chair, is that I started tracking everything consistently in my fitness pal. I think back then I was at 100 days straight. Now I'm like way more. And it just works so well for me. So my fitness pal is it's meant as a calorie tracker. That's not what I use it for. But I use the free version and I log all my food. And what it does for me, it gives me structure. And I eat a lot of the same stuff, and you can just copy in meals from previous, so it's not a lot of work. And it gives me structure. It helps me let's say, confirm what I'm eating, and then also how much insulin I need to take for it. So for me, it's been tremendously helpful, and it's definitely something I want to continue doing. Also, by now it's kind of gamification, so it's like, okay, now it's kind of like Duolingo. And a really long streak, so I want to continue doing it. I don't get a prize or anything. It's more
Yeah.
shoulder.
So can you sort of use this as a template? Let's say because you're logging everything, every meal, and I guess you're logging your insulin as well. Do you now have like a template for each meal, or like a strategy for each meal that you already know how to dose because of that logging? Because I think that would be the main advantage to have this sort of like library that you can always go back and look. Okay, last time I had this sandwich, I took 4 units or whatever, and
Yeah.
it works. So I'm just gonna repeat the same thing. I don't have to count the carbs again, or I don't have to think about what kind of meal it is and stuff like that. Is it how it benefits you?
I so I'm not locking my insulin doses in my fitness pal. I probably could because there's a note section. It's a good idea, Tom. Maybe I
No, no,
yeah.
I'm just trying to understand like how tracking all the food helps you. Like, because I thought it would help you with dosing insulin, and probably it's not.
No, it
Okay.
does. I mean, for me, it's also how our brains works with structure, right? So I know, for example, for my lunch, that one I just know. So I can swipe right because it's most often, listen, that sounds like a dating app, but you can swipe in and they just say like copy from yesterday. So that one, I kind of know that I need 2.5 units, depending on where my blood sugars are at for that meal. For breakfast, I measure it out a little bit tighter because I'm eating stuff like bananas, which I know will hit my blood sugars fairly aggressively if I don't dose my insulin correctly for it. So for that, I actually want to know the carb count. So I measure it out, and then I look at the carb count daily and saying, okay, where am I at? Because I know if it's around the 20 to 22 grams of carbs for that meal, I know how much insulin I need. But if I'm eating more banana that day, I then know to up my dose. So that's kind of how I use it. It's also a way for me to go back and say, okay, my blood sugars did not react as I expected. Could that be due to the meal composition? So I can go back and look at that because it's interesting. Fill in things on I use the phone. There's also you also use it in a computer. But if you flip your phone horizontally, it'll tell you the exact split of carbs, proteins, fats. You can even see the fiber content as well. So for me, it's super helpful, both in the moment and also for analytics.
Right. And do you also use it for counting calories, or like, do you have like a calorie goal for the day, or how much you eat at all?
I've had that. So I started because I was like, now is the time to finally get in my pre-COVID form. And that's kind of also one of the reasons why I started it. So at that point, I had a calorie target for me. I don't right now. I know what I want to stay below. Again, I don't want anyone taking my calorie targets and trying to reuse those. But right now, I'm just trying to stay like 1,800 to 2,000. That works for me and my body and my shape. For me,
Yeah.
for me.
I think if I was eating 1800 calories, I would probably die of hunger soon, because I almost feel like some days I eat like double that. But that's one of the things, actually, like my bad habits. I am actually like, I really like to eat, and
Mm.
I eat a lot. I've sometimes feel like I just eat too much without, my body doesn't need the food. So I feel like it's some sort of thing in my head that's causing me to eat and also gaining weight. And I just started to realize this more. Okay, I actually gain quite a bit of weight because I got pulled into this video that I'm doing on YouTube about weight loss. And I realized, okay, how much I'm actually eating, how many calories, and a lot of these calories are coming from this like mindless sort of eating. Like I don't, and so something I realized when I was making this video, and actually I lost some weight because I was doing this video. I was trying to also like explain how this whole process worked, and I learned about it quite a bit. But I realized actually I have a problem with some sort of eating habits that are when I'm not mindful. Like I'm not mindful at all what I'm eating, especially when I was like stressed all day, and then I come home and like sort of like release the stress is released, and I just started eating like it's crazy. Or sometimes also with some like foods that I don't eat often, it's just like I overeat, but it doesn't make me happy anymore. So that's sort of a thing. That's why I was asking about the calories, if you're tracking this, because I started tracking my calories and I was shocked like how many calories I actually eat, which is for how big my body is. It seems to be like more than what like this kind of simple algorithm on the website. There's like you can calculate how many calories for average man of certain size. I'm like, oh, I'm eating way more than this, but I guess I'm also more physically active. Maybe that's the reason why my body needs it. But I also uncovered some of the things that I feel like I kind of need to look into more, or maybe work on them more. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. I used to do a lot of loss coaching. Weight management coaching is the way they would say it. Back in the day, I don't do that anymore. But the interesting part is if you go online, you'll see a lot of these calculators. You can calculate your maintenance calories. You can calculate, okay, well, how much should you eat to lose weight? They're great. They're a starting point. So what I've always suggested from anyone I've ever worked with is maybe you start with that, or you start subtracting. Let's say that it says 2,200 calories. Okay. Maybe you start at 2,000. You do that for a month, see what happens. Is your body fat percentage going down? Then, it's working for a weight loss perspective or a body fat loss perspective. If your weight goes up, there's several things to consider. Have you gained some muscle, or what else is going on? But yeah, I think it's a good starting point. And also, again, when I say how much I eat, I would have been very shocked if it was the same amount that you would need to eat. I'm tall, but I'm actually not a big person, and I'm a woman, so I'm going to need different caloric intake than you do.
Yeah, definitely. So you wanted to talk about the good things, and I brought up another bad habit, but it just inspired me when you were talking about the MyFitness app, MyFitnessPal app, and how you use it. I got this thought about the calories. But are there any other good habits that you want to bring to 2026 that you want to talk about?
Yeah. I mean, you know me, I love working out, which is I spend a lot of time in the gym. It gives me joy. I mean, I like moving my body. I love lifting weights. I love feeling strong. And I definitely want to take that with me into 26. And what I found have worked really well for me here in 25 is to have a plan and follow it. So you don't have to pay a trainer necessarily. You can actually go online and say, hey, if you have 3 or 4 days a week to work out, find a 3 or 4 day program. I have one. I write it down. I write down what I do every time, and I sort of just track progress. And that means that I'm enjoying the workouts. I can go back and see, well, what did I do last time versus what I'm doing now? I can see on paper that I'm getting stronger, which is, for me, really cool. So that's how I sort of keep the fire going in regards to that. And that also trickles into my diabetes in the sense that exercise, okay, now I'm really a broken record, but I'm going to say it again. Exercise really helps with the insulin sensitivity and how well your body uses insulin the injector that your body makes. For me, there's no downside.
Yeah. The only downside is that you have to go to the gym and actually work out, which I guess is not a downside for you, but it's a downside for a lot of people. That's why they don't do it. But
Be the gym. You can
yeah,
don't
of course,
off.
of course.
Go skiing. It's gonna be
You're right.
better.
I was just trying to be funny. So
I know.
actually, I didn't write down any good habits, but one thing I wrote down here is what I'd like to try or continue in 2026. I also wrote something about exercise. So I'm doing quite a bit of strength training as well. I've been doing that for quite a while, but I realized, especially with a small child, you realize very quickly that that you're not as flexible as the kids are, and I realized, okay, I'm actually very limited in my movement. So what I want to do more of is some sort of like mobility training instead of strength training. I know this doesn't have much to do with diabetes, but it's something that I really want to do because I feel, okay, I can be as like really strong. I don't know, Schwarzenegger type of strong, but if I cannot tie my shoes, then it doesn't help me much when I'm 60 or 70 years old, right? So I'm not saying he can't tie his shoes. I'm sure he can, but I guess this one of the things that are not diabetes related, but I know this will have some impact on my blood sugar as well, because if I change from strength training to mobility training, it's just more like a closer to cardio, and I just know that I will need to adjust my insulin dosing on those days when I go to the gym and do different type of exercise.
I just had a thought. So one of the things flexibility training will impact certain things. So if you want to put an infusion set or a CGM on your lower back, you need to be able to turn. You need to be able to, yeah, there's a little bit of flexibility there. No? Is that too far-fetched?
If I put my pump on my back, on my lower back,
Yeah.
I can still do
Right
that.
now you're not twisting anything. Yeah, to decide moving your arm back.
Well, if I wanted to put my omnipod in the middle of my back, I couldn't because I can't reach. That's how limited I am.
So that's going to be your goal. Put your
Yes,
on your
exactly.
by yourself on your back.
That's a good goal.
Oh, man. No, I think I do want, actually, I was just looking at my list. And one other thing that I think maybe someone else has a good answer for this. I've asked before and I still haven't found a good answer. I have a few ideas. So when it comes to site rotation, we kind of like talked a little bit. We talked about changing insulin pump sites. We talked about changing needles and all that. Then there's site rotation, which means don't inject into the same place over and over. I'm extremely structured when it comes to my long-acting insulin. I have a whole pattern. I have a little notebook. I write down every injection I take so I don't inject in the same spot over and over. And I also want to say I don't have any lumps or anything like that. No scar tissues that I can feel. I know there's scar tissue, but there's nothing that's bumpy. I don't have a good routine for site rotation for my rapid acting insulin. And I think sometimes I give myself insulin and I was like, I wonder if I keep using the same area. And I can also kind of feel like I also have a feeling that the insulin doesn't get as well absorbed in certain areas. So I'm thinking about how do I do abdominal site rotation that doesn't suck?
I don't know, but when I stopped with the pump for a few months and I was just giving myself injections, I'm pretty sure I was using a lot of, like on my belly, I was using the same spot more than other spots. It's just because it was sort of automated. It was automated. Like I just have the food on the table, I just quickly do it. Whenever I wanted to do it fast and didn't think about it, I'm pretty sure I always use the same spot. So with the pump, I always have more time to think about it. Where am I gonna put my next side? But I know with injections, I was more, when it became automated, I stopped thinking about the rotation. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But how to do that, I don't know, because I guess it needs to be sort of user friendly so it doesn't bother you. Like, if you take 8 injections per day, then tracking this is going to be another thing to track.
Well, I was wondering if I'm very low tech when it comes to my site rotations, also for the long acting. I was thinking about getting a Sharpie, so like a pen, and just whenever I do an injection, it's kind of do a little circle around the injection site. That would mean that I've been drawing on myself, but it comes off with water. So when I shower daily. You shower off, the last 24 hours of Sharpie marks. I don't know if that would work. You think that would work?
I don't know. I mean, are you really going to do that? I'm pretty sure I would not do that because I would I paint myself.
It would take.
But I'm sure my 4-year-old would really love that because it's something that she likes to do. Paint everything, herself, on her face, on her hands, her feet, everything.
I might try that.
Okay.
If I show up in the next podcast completely covered in Sharpie marks. I mean, I don't take insulin like from my neck up, so I don't think you'll see it.
Okay. Let's see if that happens.
Let's see if that happens. Yeah. That's not, I would say the main ones for me for 26 are treating lows, establishing a routine for treating lows efficiently in the evenings. Again, using my insurance when using my insurance makes sense. Continuing some of my strong habits with tracking and exercise. And I think if that would probably my 4 if I were to summarize. What would yours be?
I guess my number one should probably be, it's kind of merged together on my end. I think number one should be like more mindful eating. It's like the most important for me. Second one is, just not looking at my CGM too much and to let things play out before I step in, because I have so many things automated with the tools that I use. So do less in terms of diabetes, which is actually exciting if I can manage to do that. And then I have one more thing. I haven't even talked about it yet, but that's also important for me. I just want to stop, or like I really want to use my headphones less, because I feel like I'm using headphones so much and I'm not in my own head. I'm just listening to something all the time and it starts like driving me crazy, messing up with me. So I want to put the headphones in the box after we are done and just not take them out for at least a couple hours. That's my goal.
Do you have other sort of broader things that you want to do for 26?
I think we talked about most of these things. And
do you even do like resolutions? Because I didn't see this as resolutions. I was more like, it's a reflection of what works, what doesn't work. I don't
I don't do I don't do resolutions. I feel I don't have enough, I'm not strong enough to like stick to a resolution for a certain day. What I usually do is, I know there are like things on top of my list that I really want to do or that I really need to do. And then I'm not too strict on myself in terms of when or like how fast. So I feel it's like more natural to just start by really small steps. So, and especially with like mindful eating or using headphones less or checking my CGM less, it's just not gonna happen overnight. I know that it's probably gonna be a process. So I don't want to be like too strict with 1st of January. I just be checking my CGM only once in 2 hours. I think that would make no sense. But I just like being more mindful of doing these things, and over time maybe figuring out, okay, what's the right amount of checking or what's the right amount of putting my headphones on, because I don't quite know what it is. It's definitely not 0 because I can't just stop doing it completely, but start 1st of January like too fast or you take it too far, it's not gonna do it. It's just gonna end up exactly the opposite, by some sort of addiction or something. I don't know. What do you think? Are you setting like a resolution from 1st of January? You start with any of these and have like a strategy because you're always very structured about things?
No, I think it's very individual. Some people do really well with like resolutions and now we're starting on a journey and blah, blah, blah. For me, it's more about, it can help me reflect, the year's coming to an end. It's kind of like an obvious time to reflect on what works, what does not work. What do I want to set up? How do I want to set myself up for success going forward? But it's not like, I don't want to hold off either. It's like when I identify it's something that's not working for me, I don't want to hold off until January 1st to do something about it. I'd rather, start implementing. And I really like your approach about it. It's about doing small things to get to the broader goal. And it's also, it's not gonna, love is habits. Habits don't change overnight. So it's gonna take a little while.
Yeah, I also have a running list on my phone. In the notes of my iPhone. It's like what I really want to do. And these are some things that are like not something I can do right away. But I feel like I've been doing this for like 3 or 4 years. And most of the things that were there 4 years ago, I already kind of done most of them. And now I'm just putting like new things or maybe like bigger things. And it's not like I want to do it next year, but it's like what I really want. And it helps me sort of like navigate the journey on and just not leave out those things that are really important. And I'm that kind of person that I cannot, I don't know, I just need like more time to get to these things, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a journey.
Yeah, it's a journey. So I think we should ask our viewers or listeners if they have any inspiring things they want to do in 2026 to let us know in the comments, or if they have any bad habits that they want to leave in 2025, same thing, because I think that can also help others to just get some inspiration and motivation. Yeah, I think we should also thank you for your support in 2025, because I think we said this would be our last video before the year end, and then we would take a break for the Christmas holiday and New Year's, and then be back in 2026.
Absolutely. So that also means that if anyone listening, watching, if you like this episode, I'm going to do this today, please give it a like. As Tom said, we would love for you to leave us a comment down below this video. And of course, any support for the channel is much appreciated. If you have not subscribed yet, click that subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications so you'll be informed whenever we post new content. I think that's a whole ask list from us.
Perfect. Or you don't have to do anything. That's also fine.
That's also an option. Yes,
We'll be back anyway, right?
that's a promise.
All right. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.
Bye-bye.